Good, happy Sunday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Sunday evening, so let's begin. First up, gunfire erupts outside Washington Nationals Stadium. Let's take a listen to that video from CBS News.
Gunfire erupted outside the Washington Nationals baseball stadium. It caused a terrifying interruption in last night's game. While no one inside was hurt, 3 people outside were shot and wounded. Our Chris Van Cleve is at the ballpark. Chris, good evening to you.
Eureka, fans are back inside Nats Park, but for the people that were there last night, it was a very scary experience, myself included. I was in the stands, and there was a point in time where you didn't know what was going on or if you were in danger. Panic at the ballpark. Fans by the hundreds raced to escape Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. after gunfire echoed through the stadium. The shots heard on the Nets telecast in the middle of the 6th inning. Players rushed their families and even fans into the dugouts. Others hugged cement walls for cover, fearing a shooter was inside the park.
People are running, and it's a real scary situation.
This was the scene from where I was sitting. Those that didn't run ducked between the rows of seats. And this fan was overcome by emotion.
And so we start leaving, and then we hear another bang. We're near the center field gate, and more people just start running out.
The shooting actually happened outside the stadium. 3 people were wounded. All are expected to survive.
We don't want anybody in there. So, like I said, for me yesterday, I try to protect as many people as possible.
D.C. police are now looking for this Toyota Corolla.
One vehicle pulls up, another vehicle pulls up next to it, engages that first vehicle in gunfire. An uninvolved citizen that was attending this game, but outside the stadium, was struck by gunfire.
Saturday's violence came less than 24 hours after another drive-by shooting killed 6-year-old Nia Courtney and wounded 5 adults. Police released video of this sedan where someone can be seen firing out a window.
The cowards who committed this crime came into this community without any regard for human life, without regard for Naya's life.
There is now a $60,000 reward for information in the Courtney case. Washington, D.C. passed 100 homicides this year, faster than any year since 2003. Eureka.
Wow, and Chris, I know you don't normally work on Sunday, but you filed this report for us because you, as you said at the top, were actually inside at the time. What was that experience like?
I was on the far side of the stadium from where the shooting occurred. I heard at least 3 shots, bang, bang, bang. The person next to me wondered if they were fireworks because there was supposed to be a big fireworks display that night. And then you had this period of really not knowing what was going on, talk of there maybe being a shooter in the park. I'm struck still by this image of this father who was rushing his 2 kids, hugging them close to his body, rushing them out of the park, and just the look of shock and fear on their faces.
Well, Chris Van Cleve, we thank you for your reporting, and we're thankful that you are safe.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. COVID-19's Delta variant hitting developing countries the hardest. Let's take a listen to that video from CBS News.
I was interested in Cool Sculpting Elite because I have this little problem area. I wouldn't call it so much as a problem as a...
Muslims have started to arrive in Mecca in Saudi Arabia for their annual pilgrimage known as the Hajj. But the numbers are again reduced as the Delta variant takes a toll around the world. As Elizabeth Palmer reports, it is developing countries that are being hit the hardest.
Indonesia is now one of the hottest of COVID hotspots. Here, a volunteer ambulance crew removes the body of someone who died isolated at home. It's happening more and more as overflowing hospitals have no beds even for the critically ill. In Jakarta, the capital, Olaskar Purba's coffin workshop is working flat out. Demand has pushed up the cost of wood, he says, and orders have tripled to 30 a day. Indonesia's death rate is now even higher than India's, and only 6% of its population has been vaccinated. But it's not only Indonesia being hammered by the Delta variant, it's the whole developing world, because Delta spreads so easily, even outdoors, and there's just not enough vaccine. For the second year, the great Muslim Hajj pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia was subdued. Normally, this holy place would be mobbed, but once again, only a trickle of the faithful were allowed. The Delta variant has also put pressure on developed countries. Israel is now giving booster shots as a precaution to the most vulnerable. President Macron of France announced vaccinations would be compulsory for health workers. And in the UK, where 130,000 people gathered to watch the Grand Prix today, the infection rate is rocketing up. In fact, Prime Minister Boris Johnson himself is heading back into self-isolation.
Hi folks, like so many hundreds of thousands of other people across the country, I've been pinged.
That means the health system app sent him a text saying he'd been in contact with someone who had COVID. And that person turned out to be his own health secretary. It's embarrassing for Johnson, especially one day before his government, in spite of a barrage of criticism, is due to lift all COVID restrictions in England. Jarika?
Elizabeth Palmer, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dozens exposed to airborne chemical leak at Six Flags Park. Let's take a listen to that video from CBS News.
Here in the States, the Six Flags water park near Houston is closed today after over 60 people were exposed to an airborne chemical leak. More than 24 were rushed to hospitals suffering from minor skin irritation and minor breathing problems. No word yet on the cause of the leak.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into weather. And here's a look at your weather this evening across the United States. As you can see, we got some rain near Albany, New York, some rain in the Maine area, and rain showers all along this part of the United States, and then sprinkles of rain leading all the way here as well on this part of the United States. Up here, not too bad. A lot of dryness up in this part of the United States, and then some sprinkles of rain go over here as well. And that is a look at your weather across the United States for this Sunday evening. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching, and have a great evening. Good night and goodbye.